Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel Based in Reality, where we like to encourage everybody to think smart and act accordingly. So today I'm going to address some comments that have been made in recent weeks, months, even up to a year from both Candace Owen and Tucker Carlson, who, as most of us know, are very popular influencers, spokespeople at this time. They have purported themselves in many regards as conservative thinkers. However, of late, Candace Owens, I believe, has taken some turns away from that entirely, and I'm going to address the areas where I believe that to be the case. So, she has made comments basically to the effect that Israel is acting in ways that are unseemly, that we should not support their government, that Trump should not be, such a friend to Israel, in other words. And that, to me, is painting a completely false picture. It's quite a mystery to me where this is coming from. I don't know how a person can hold to biblical concepts, biblical truths, and be a Republican, be a conservative, support Trump in the first place, be attached to MAGA, and then yet somehow also believe that a country cannot protect itself. Every people group has the intrinsic right to protect itself so that it may exist. And indeed, they have the right to self-govern if you read the Word of God. Because God created man with freedom, with that we should be free. Okay, and that we are all equal to one another. And so I think it's quite suspect as to the source of this line of thinking and why she would come out with these kinds of comments. Let's not forget who started this whole incursion. It was Hamas, who kidnapped a bunch of innocent people at a music festival and then made them live underneath the dirt until they died. And indeed, violently murdered many, many people. Okay, and we know there's still some hostages who have managed to hang in there and are still alive, and we should be praying for those folks. But we know some perished. You cannot live underneath the ground, for forever. And so that's where the blame goes. It doesn't go on Israel for defending herself. Also, I just had a circle snap at my dogs right now because they won't in. Okay, anyways, the idea that Trump has put out there regarding that strip of land being taken back by Israel makes absolute sense to me. Because what has history shown us? That trading land for peace never worked for Israel. Nice try, Israel. I guess it was worth a try. It didn't work. So it's time to take your land back. Yes, your land. Because if we're reading the Bible, Candace, then we should know that the land that God gave, and Tucker, that the land that God gave to the descendants of Abraham, the Israelis, was a huge land area encompassing much territory of the other nations in the Middle East. Okay, much of their land was all for Israel. And so now, through a series of events and Israel's disobedience and Israel being, historically not a very good neighbor, not a very good player, definitely not obedient to God, their territory has shrunk down to, what is it now, the size of New Jersey, I believe, is the state that it's comparable to in square miles. So they have very little land compared to their neighbors. But the land that they did have, they were willing, desperate enough to trade for peace with these terrorist groups. And that did not work. Let's take that land back. And where should those folks go? They all need to be brought back to where they are most genetically close to. I don't see any nations over there in the Middle East. And I can be wrong. Go ahead and correct me. Feel free in the comments. But I don't see any other nations over there coming to their aid. I don't see any other nation saying, come live over here, come live with us. I mean, I know that there was some movement in Egypt, that some of those Palestinians went to Egypt. But yeah, I say let the Arab brethren, the Arab nations, house these folks. But I would say the nation that should mostly take on all those folks is Iran, because Iran is the one that funds Hamas and the other jihadi groups. And I'm sure much of that money came from Obama's millions that he sent over to Iran, which they then funneled to these jihadi groups. So if Iran wants to pay for terrorism, and if these Hamas folk are willing to use their Palestinian mothers and grandmas and uncles and aunties and their homes and the children's bedrooms as portal points for tunnels to dig into Israel and, bomb them and terrorize them, then let Iran house all Hamas and all their relatives, and the people that are living in Gaza, because that whole strip needs to be vacated. And let Israel do whatever it wants with that land. Maybe it needs to use that whole entire area as a military base and start shoring up and just gathering more defenses. Or maybe they want to set it up as a tourist area. I mean, there were some great things happening with the Abraham Accords regarding trade and business in the Middle East. Maybe that could be a thing. But let's all keep in mind, Candace and Tucker, with respect, let's keep in mind that when Hamas started, all their business, and Iran started lobbing missiles over to Israel, that no other countries in the Middle East joined in with Iran to do that. Nobody else took their side, the Palestinian side, which is funded by Iran. Okay, and when the U.S. bunker bombed Iran's nuclear facility, no other Middle Eastern countries that I know of came out with knives out on the U.S. for doing that. Why? Because they know that Iran is a rogue, unstable player in the Middle East. They don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. They are a source of violence. That country sponsors violence. So it's absolutely mystifying and very, very disappointing, to say the least, that these two would sort of take that stance. Also, Candace has made comments, and I'll end on this, regarding Mark Levin, or Mark Levin, however you pronounce his name. He has his own program on Fox News for years, and he's a very prolific writer and couldn't be more conservative. And Candace has come out just attacking Mark Levin and saying that he is not MAGA, he is not the base, he doesn't think like the base of the Republican Party. I'm very curious as to how she could arrive at that. There is no logical support whatsoever for that idea. You cannot be more conservative than Mark Levin. Read any book, watch any show. He is a staunch supporter of Trump. So this has all made Candace Owens be highly suspect to me now. And though I have been a very casual follower of her for the last few years, but in the past have really found her perspective to be grounded in reality, and grounded in biblical values. I'm really not, unfortunately, I'm just not that interested anymore in what she has to say on anything. Because this is a huge issue. There is such a division in where I believe she began, and I mean, I could be wrong. I don't watch her every single time she posts. So, and I know that this goes back at least, a little bit, but everybody should be really paying attention to where these two are coming from with these it's not even so much anti-Israel. It's anti-common sense. Everybody has the right to protect themselves and exist, including the Palestinians. If the Palestinians could actually get a legitimate governing body to represent them, I don't exactly think the PLO is a legitimate governing body because they do nothing for their people. Okay, and neither does Hamas. So, I mean, they would need to completely have a real, true governing body in order to have some kind of legitimate state. And I wish them well in that. I mean, of course, any people group should be able to protect themselves and self-govern and all of that. But that people group, the Palestinians, have been hijacked by the PLO and used and abused by Hamas and Iran. That's the clear and present danger. It's Iran and all the jihadi groups that they fund and propagate. And so that's why nobody defended nobody got on the offense regarding the U.S. bunker bombing their nuclear facilities. So where these comments are coming from, couldn't tell you. So I just urge Tucker and Candace to rethink their positions, rethink anyone who is trying to influence them to hold that position. Truly rethink that, because that is going to cause a definite loss of influence. I can tell you that right now. I mean, look at how America voted in the last election. Do you think that America was voting for go Iran, go Hamas, ransack Israel every chance you get? I don't think so. It is a very fringe group in our country that protest for the Palestinians. Not that people don't sympathize with the Palestinians. It's not an issue of sympathy for the Palestinians. It's an issue of the violent group that has infested the Palestinians, that uses the Palestinians as sheltering shields, as a platform for terror, as a portal to tunnel under. They use the homes of grandmas and uncles and moms and dads, the rooms where the babies live, and they tunnel under those rooms to be able to hurt Israelis. So, it's an issue of Israel being able to protect itself. And maybe they should care more about the Israelis getting free from the terrorists that use them. Maybe you should care more about that issue. That Hamas is so detrimental, all the jihadi groups are so detrimental to peace in the Middle East. It's not Israel that launches bombs over to Gaza because it's Tuesday. You guys are having a musical concert over there? Oh, that sounds like a great time for us to run on over and grab up a bunch of innocent Palestinians and kill them and murder them and keep them underground until they die. No, it is not Israel that is the aggressor. So, Israel, take your land back. Create a plan to move the Palestinians and their Hamas relatives out. And I think they should all go to where the bombs have been originated from, which is Iran. And I say good luck to the people of Iran, those wonderful Persian people who have forever wanted so much better than the government that they were stuck with after the Shah fell. And I pray for revolution in Iran, that the people could have a real government. And I want that for the Palestinians, to be governed with prudence and safety and generosity, a government that is for the people, by the people. That's what we would hope for. But we have to deal with reality. Not everyone has those sensibilities of that type of government, having a constitution, having law, not Sharia law, but, law that protects people and that affords people rights and so on and so forth. So since that's not what we're dealing with, we have to deal with the reality that is before us. Okay? Which is that we have very violent jihadi groups that hate Christians, hate Jews, really just hate freedom and self-empowerment. And so that's the reality in front of us. That's what we're dealing with. So we must think defensively. Defensively. And those are the actions that need to be taken to defend the sovereignty and the innocent people of Israel. So really consider the comments that these two folks are making on these points and whether these are channels that you want to continue to follow. And maybe you do because you align with many of their other opinions. And of course, that's fine. Totally understandable. But please, please comment on their channels. Put your own video out if you want, like what I'm doing, regarding, that these ideas are totally incorrect and they're not beneficial for any country that wants to protect itself, okay? And they're not beneficial for our country because, yes, we are going to stand with Israel. We are going to stand with a country that is terrorized, that is being bullied. That is the only democracy type country over there in the Middle East. So of course it's a natural ally, and we do want to support them. We do want to support Israel. So let's confront these comments that are being made by Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and let them know why that is incorrect and baseless. All right, guys, so think smart, act accordingly, speak up, form your viewpoints based on your values. If you're a Christian, you base them on biblical values. And let your thoughts be known. Let your opinions be known on this subject. Okay, take care, and I will see you in the next one.